Good afternoon. I'm Gail Hackett, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 38th Annual Faculty Convocation. On behalf of President Michael Rao, Interim Senior Vice President and Health System CEO Peter Buckley, and the esteemed members of the Platform Party, I thank you for joining us. We are grateful to take a pause during these difficult and challenging times to honor the continued achievements of our distinguished faculty. Before we begin our program, I'd like to recognize those special guests who are joining us both in person and virtually. Members of the VCU Board of Visitors, members of the VCU Health Board of Directors, members of our Faculty Senate, members of the Retired Faculty Council, and our past distinguished faculty award winners. Please join me in recognizing our special guests. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our president, Michael Rao.
Thank you, Gail. And I also want to extend my gratitude to the Board of Visitors and specifically to Ben Dendy. Thank you so much as Vice Rector of the Board of Visitors for being here in person. I know you sacrificed something to be here because I know that you're always busy, so thank you for making the time to be with us. And Valerie Robnolt is also here, an executive committee member of the Faculty Senate. Thank you for taking the time to be here and being with us together. This is a really special time. This is a time that we honor 6 of our colleagues who are just extraordinary. This is a time when, frankly, we recognize our role models in this institution. We view them, or at least I view them, as our mission stars, people who are committed to everything that we stand for at this institution. Now, I recognize that this is a very different year. This ceremony is very different. We usually have many of the deans up here with us. We typically have a very full room because everyone wants to be a part of celebrating the accomplishments and the awards of our 6 extraordinary colleagues. But this year we're celebrating very differently for obvious reasons, something that we talk about every day, advent of SARS coronavirus 2 and what it has done. And so I really appreciate everyone's cooperation and willingness to foster everyone else's safety. If you think about it, if we take care of everyone else, then everyone is taken care of. And caring for others is really a critical part of our values as a university community. So thank you all for your patience, support, and understanding with this year's ceremony. So now on to the program. Our honorees have truly an unshakable commitment to all of the areas for which we are awarding them: education, science, human health, and most certainly collaboration. These are folks who are doing a great job of modeling what collaboration is and can be, whether it's with students at the core of our mission, whether it is with patients, also at the core of our mission, or maybe with each other. Maybe in the context of the research that they do. Maybe it's with colleagues throughout the world with whom they work. Their expertise varies, each one of them, and on the other hand, they're united by the goal to advance all of humanity through education, through research, and most certainly service to all human beings, all of our people. They embody our mission in so many important ways, and one of the ways that's really important is that they're actively transforming people's lives. They're making life a better experience for the people who pass through their lives. They inspire us, all of us, to focus on our commitments to the work that we do. That might be in our fields, but I want to say most importantly, the positive impact on the lives of all human beings. Like most of us at VCU, they have done amazing things adapting to remote teaching, remote advising, connecting with students in ways that in which we need to connect with our students, certainly through research. And without question, most of my colleagues are seeing patients in this way as well, and protecting each other and, of course, the health of everyone involved. They make learning real, and no question that they bring energy that inspires us to learn. You'll see one of the videos today that really captures that, and it's so important because given what we're going through right now, it's helped me to understand that energy that exists between a student and a faculty member, that energy that inspires us to want to understand something. Sometimes when a professor is right in front of you, teaching you something, it just becomes very real because of that energy that the professor has. So one of the things that I hope comes out of this experience that we're all going through is an appreciation for human energy and how human energy can inspire us through learning, inspire us to pursue knowledge, inspire us to give each other hope as human beings. We really are at a very critical point in our history, and it is for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that we are a nationally premier research university, but we're also at a really critical point in our history as a country. This is a great challenge to all of us. It is probably, realistically, something that none of us have really ever been able to say that we've experienced. I suppose if you're well over 100 years old, you might be able to say you've experienced something like this before, but most have not. And what I want to say is that VCU is a university community that leans into challenges, no matter how big they are. And this is a big one. There's no question about it. So we hold on to the importance of facts, focus, collaboration, the importance of connecting with each other, but most importantly, to me, the importance of empathy and sincere concern for everyone who is in need. We hold to the VCU spirit that comes together and rises to solve humanity's most profound problems and needs, and we will continue to do that. And we certainly have demonstrated that as a university community, we can do that well. Education has to be that map that leads us to solutions, but also that map that brings us together, no matter how difficult things might be in our lives. You know, it was just, believe it or not now, 4 weeks ago, going into our 5th week here soon, that we welcomed more than 29,000 students to Virginia Commonwealth University. We planned for months for this. And fortunately, we were an essential workforce in the health system. In our clinics and our hospitals, we learned a lot about things that people still today don't understand about this virus. And my colleagues did a fantastic job. And we've taken all of what we've learned and we've translated that to some value within the context of the university. Our students express so much appreciation for my colleagues, my faculty colleagues, my staff colleagues. My faculty colleagues are a community of tremendous educators, dedicated, passionate researchers. And they are, of course, the people who are at the center of our mission, dedicated to the success of all of our students and passionately committed to making life a better experience for everyone. And that includes a lot of people who have traditionally not been included in that phrase. We must include every human being, and that is one of the core values of Virginia Commonwealth University. So, with that, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you and to say thank you for being here. No matter what the circumstances, this is a very, very important gathering, and we must, absolutely must, celebrate the successes of the people who are at the core and center of our mission as a public good in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Help us to recognize the great things that this institution does for people throughout the world. Enjoy. This will be a very fun ceremony. We will have an opportunity to recognize our colleagues, and I'm looking forward to it. So on with the show.
Thank you, President Rao. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Mallett, Dean of the College of Humanities and Sciences. Jennifer will come forward and announce the recipient of the 2020 University Award of Excellence.
Thank you, Provost Hackett. It is my pleasure to present this year's University Award of Excellence to Dr. Nicholas Farrell, Professor of Chemistry in the College of Humanities and Sciences. Here is a short video in which Dr. Farrell describes his journey to science and how inorganic chemistry has served as a bridge between VCU's two campuses.
When I went to college, I decided that, well, maybe I can learn a language with science would be something that would be a career. And so I chose to go that path, gravitated towards chemistry. There are many aspects to inorganic chemistry in health and medicine. The goals at the moment are to expand the uses of inorganic compounds in medicine in general after the success of cisplatin, which is an undoubted success in the treatment of cancer. Up to 50% of all cancer patients will receive a platinum drug in combination, because most chemotherapy is given in combination now. So it's a remarkable result for a metal compound to look at inorganic chemistry as not just an isolated incident of one compound, but as a field that can be mined, if you will, for more success stories and more drugs, and that's what drives me. Drug development is obviously a highly interdisciplinary enterprise. To bridge the two campuses and having interdisciplinary research across campus has been very helpful for me. The highly collaborative nature, genuine collegiality, has really been a hallmark of my time at VCU.
We are proud of Dr. Farrell's lifetime work and honor his many achievements. Dr. Farrell, please come to the podium to accept this recognition. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I guess it's an ill wind that blows no good. So this virtual convocation allows me a very rare chance to celebrate this occasion with my family, with my children in Vancouver and New York, and my siblings in Ireland and elsewhere. Patricia, stop crying. Are we taking attendance? just to check. So on that note, I would like to take these few minutes to acknowledge the people who really make it possible for me to be here. First of all, of course, my wife, who is used to my preoccupied answers at dinner when I say we should have used 5 milligrams per kilogram when she asked me to pass the salad. So that is common for all of us, I suppose. And my lab people, my graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. I've had excellent lab managers, both in Massey Cancer Center and in the chemistry department. A special note to Dr. Young Q, who's been with me all the time here as a long-term collaborator. One of my former students once said that a happy Dr. Q was a happy lab. I think that's probably quite true. So they're the important things. I do want to emphasize the notion of collaboration, because I think it is so critical, and it's critical here in VCU. I think with my own international experience, one of the nice things I like about research is that collaborators worldwide become friends. And I think, as I've mentioned in the program, one of the things we have to do is scientists have to be more than scientists these days, as Dr. Rao mentioned, and more than scientists in the current environment. And I think that the VCU should be acknowledged for encouraging us to do that. As far as collaborations go, I've been very lucky. Chemists make things, and in an interdisciplinary area like drug research, we cannot do everything on our own. It's simply impossible. So I've been lucky with having great receptive colleagues throughout the campus. First of all, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge Gordon Ginder, who as head of the Cancer Center was unstintingly positive about our research. Early collaborators were Larry Povirk and John Ryan, and lately we've been exploring new areas with Michael McVoy and Jennifer Koblinski, who are teaching me about antivirals and new ways of making platinum more precise. And I think that's what really fuels my love for research, is that it's learning. I'm still learning. So new areas and new areas of research keep you young, stop you from being stale, and defer the fair of application for another year or two. And with that, I would just like to acknowledge also Dr. Samuel Shah, our chair, who pushed me to forward my nomination. And with that, I will just accept this honor humbly and appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Farrell. Dean Mallett will now return to the podium to introduce the recipient of the 2020 Distinguished Scholarship Award.
Thank you. It is my honor to present this year's Distinguished Scholarship Award to Dr. Maryanne Collinson, the John B. Fenn Professor of Chemistry in the College of Humanities and Sciences. Now, please join me in viewing a short video in which Dr. Collinson shares how a crystal in 8th grade began her quest to make better materials through chemistry.
When I was in 8th grade, I became interested in chemistry. We would get extra credit by growing our own crystals. And my philosophy is better materials through chemistry, to make materials that have technological applications for measurement purposes. We want to develop a material that could measure the potential of blood. The hypothesis is that if your body undergoes stress and you have some medical condition, and that medical condition will affect the levels of your ascorbic acid or uric acid or cysteine, we're trying to make a material that could be used as a sensor. Instead of sending a sample out, you could do it in a doctor's office. You can make that measurement in a doctor's office. What you also hope is the information that you're coming up with will help other scientists. If you're doing any kind of medical related research, it's nice and convenient to have phenomenal doctors and the diversity with VCU. I feel very much at home at VCU.
For her successful leadership and excellence in scholarly activity, we are pleased to honor Dr. Collinson. Dr. Collinson, please come to the podium to accept this recognition.
Well, let me start by saying thank you to all of you for coming out today. I certainly appreciate it. And let me also say thank you to the chairperson of chemistry, Dr. Samuel Shah, and the nomination committee who put my name forward for this award, and very much appreciated of the time and the effort that went into putting together the nomination. So thank you. What's hard to believe is I've been a faculty member for 26 years now, and you know, it went by fast. But what's also interesting when I reflect back is that about a while back ago, there was a time where I actually wanted to throw in the towel, not be a professor anymore, give it up, do something else with my life. And then what happened is I moved to VCU, okay? And the first 2 weeks, I would say, were kind of interesting. At least it makes for interesting stories. But after those first 2 weeks, I got into the groove of things, and I was introduced to a very talented emergency medicine physician. His name was Dr. Kevin Ward, and he was working together with Fred Hawkridge, who was a professor and interim dean here, and he's also my academic grandfather. So Dr. Hawkridge retired, and then I started working with Dr. Kevin Ward on making a material that could be used to measure the redox potential of blood. So, and at the same time, I was also doing a lot of work dealing with gradient materials. And a few years later, I started interacting with or collaborating with Dr. Sarah Rutan, a colleague in our department. And we started applying gradients to make new stationary phases for column chromatography to try to separate complex mixtures. Okay, so now here we are about 15 years later, and I look at my job as being the best job in the entire world because I get to do what I love. And I love being in lab, I love teaching, I love working with my students. And I have a lot to be grateful for. So I'm very grateful to my husband who sacrificed a large part of his career so I could have one. I'm very grateful to my 3 kids who are extremely supportive of me and who always make me laugh. And they laugh at my crazy jokes too, so that makes for a good thing. I'm very grateful to my graduate students. So some people say that the best part of the job is doing research, or the best part of the job is doing your own thing. But really, the best part of my job is working with my students, seeing them come in knowing, to be honest with you, very little. And when they graduate, it's just so impressive to see the change in them. And then when they go out and they get jobs and you friend them on Facebook and you get to see their kids and their life, and there's nothing more gratifying than that. So and the other thing is with a professor will have a great idea, but really it's the students that are in your lab that are making that idea come into fruition, right? Without my students, I wouldn't be here. And I'm very thankful for all of them, from the undergraduates all the way to the research associates. So there's too many to state, but if you're watching, I want you to know that I really do appreciate all the work that you've done on our research projects. So the other thing I wanted to say is thank you to all the collaborators I work with. So I started working with Dr. Kevin Ward in emergency medicine, and then he hooked me up with Dr. Nathan White, and then Dr. Rodney Daniels, and then Dr. Spees, and I can keep going on and on. So I'm very grateful for all the collaborators. Working with Sarah Rattan in chemistry has been wonderful. She's trying to teach a card-carrying electrochemist how to do separation science, which is really amazing. But when we combine our expertise, it really makes a better research project and greater outcomes. And I also wanted to say thanks to the National Science Foundation, who's supported a lot of my basic research in materials and materials chemistry. So hope I didn't forget anybody. But thank you very much for the attention, and thank you for the award.
Our next award is the 2020 Distinguished Teaching Award. Dr. Mallett will return to the podium once again to introduce this year's recipient. Dr. Mallett.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to present this year's Distinguished Teaching Award to Dr. Linda Zyzniewski, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs in the Department of Psychology in the College of Humanities and Sciences. Here's a short video in which Dr. Zyzniewski describes her work in helping students overcome fears and obstacles in the classroom to reach their fullest potential and follow their dreams.
I always have enjoyed explaining and understanding why people do what they do. I almost didn't want to become a psychology major because I saw I would have to take extra math, so I bit the bullet and learned I had to do some statistics. And turns out it wasn't that bad. People are often, just as I was, scared off by the research and the statistics that come with it. I have to convince the students first that they want to be there and they'll love it. Saying that you're telling a story from your data is much less intimidating than writing an American Psychological Association style results section. How can I tell this story in a way that other people would agree with the conclusions I've come to? So two people may approach the same data from a different perspective, but they're still the same data, so you should inevitably get to the same conclusion. And I will tell them, this will be your favorite class. And more often than not, in course evaluations at the end of the semester, people write, Dr. Z, you were right. People come here with their dreams and learn and explore and consider possible selves. What could you become? The opportunities I've had here, I wouldn't have had in another type of institution.
For her excellence in teaching, we are pleased to honor Dr. Zyzniewski. Please come to the podium to accept this recognition. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. Attending the faculty convocation has been an annual ritual for me to mark the beginning of a new academic year, to celebrate the accomplishments of fellow faculty for the knowledge they create and disseminate. It's really quite an honor to be recognized for this award, especially given that previous recipients include my own mentor, Donaldson Forsyth, and Faye Belgrave, who served on my dissertation and promotion committees. So with this point in time, as the video showed, getting students to approach content that maybe they're intimidated by, to learn that you can do something that you didn't think you could is extremely empowering and is the crux of what I do, whether it is with undergraduates, also with my graduate students that I train to teach themselves. And the idea of seeing the successes that former students have, whether it's seeing someone who's now a graduate student in a doctoral program, someone serving on the Richmond City Council, someone who's a successful microbrewery owner here in Richmond, as well as seeing my former graduate students as faculty themselves, grappling with how do we teach online now in the worlds that we find ourselves in. It's really difficult right now, as has already been mentioned, making connections with current students, 200 people that I haven't met in person, that I really would much rather be in front of in the classroom than talking to my computer. But that said, we know that with the challenges that the pandemic and systematic inequities that are at the forefront of our day-to-day lives right now, making sure that we see that everyone is trying their best and see that people really are and rising to the occasion. It impresses me more and more as each day passes. So I'm really grateful for the meaningful relationships that I have with my colleagues in psychology. Specifically want to thank my current department chair, Mike Southam-Giroux, previous chairs, Wendy Cleaver and Scott Vrana, for their support of my career, my undergraduate operations colleagues, Dorothy Fillmore and LaToya Davis, my long-term office neighbor for as long as we've been faculty here, Mary Lose, my family who's watching from Pennsylvania right now online, and my fiance, Brad Smith, who's here with me today. I really wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, both here in person and also through live stream. As Dr. Rao mentioned in his remarks, this is indeed a very important time, and today is a critical moment and a very cherished opportunity for us to honor our wonderful faculty. Peter Buckley is my name. I have the privilege to serve as Interim Senior Vice President for Health Sciences and as Interim CEO of VCU Health System. But I'm here particularly also at this moment in the role as Dean of the Medical School, in which case it gives me just immense pleasure to present this year's Distinguished Service Award to my friend and colleague, Dr. Peter Boling, who's Professor of Internal Medicine and also Chair of Geriatric Medicine in our School of Medicine. So please join us in watching a short video in which Dr. Boling discusses his goal for expanding innovative home-based medical care to meet the needs of our communities across the nation.
My history started from having two parents who were both academic physicians who worked in public hospitals, and we usually had conversations about things pertaining to health and healthcare and equality, justice. I set out as a career goal to leave my career with the American public having the option of receiving home-based medical care if they needed that. It involves changing the way that medicine is delivered across the span of the country, and I can easily find the patients who are not having that experience because they are getting fragmented care rendered by lots of different people. The best answer is listening to the patients and their families talk about when they've had good experiences in healthcare, having somebody that they can count on and trust, who has got a team around them that can deliver the goods, is the best measure of success. The people who work in our public hospital are creative in their spirit and have been supportive in doing innovative things that are well designed to meet the needs of the people in the community. The results have been ultimately beneficial both to the community and to the institution.
We're indeed proud to honor Dr. Boling's outstanding accomplishments in service, so please come to the podium and accept this recognition.
Thank you very much. I wrote everything down that I was thinking of saying. I'm going to, of course, go off script. We know that these days that's a little dangerous. But start off by saying I'm humbled by this honor and want to appreciate the Department of Medicine and the School of Medicine for putting my name forward. Large university, many people do good work here. I'm appreciative of the honor. I've been here for 39 years. We calculated when I was an intern in 1981 that our pay rate was $2.08 an hour. And this was at a time when work hours restrictions had not yet come into place. And we're getting paid a little bit better now, but I'm really privileged to have been at this institution, which encourages an outward movement to support the community. And I found, as the dean mentioned, as was on the video, that my best education was in seeing patients. So I went into the community in my first year as faculty, started making house calls, and I realized the healthcare system for the people I was seeing there was basically broken, not patient-centered, not really meeting the needs. So, as I had been trained to do as I was a kid, I set out to fix it. I had to learn a lot about the business of medicine, change the way things were doing, try to affect change in the system at large, which was a hard thing to do. I've continued with that same focus throughout my career, including the homebound and other populations who are similarly experiencing fragmented care that's not necessarily aligned with what they need, and have therefore recognized the importance as I've gone along of geriatric medicine, since many of these people are older. And geriatric medicine is part of the care delivery system, but also as a way of providing education to the future generations of health professions, because in the end, the legacy we'll leave behind is the kind of care rendered by the people that follow us, right? So I'm a transient here, and my legacy will be the people that come behind me, what they're going to be doing with their lives. So I have to again say thank you to all of the people at the health system and my friends beyond the health system who have helped over the years. No one can do this kind of stuff alone. I've worked with some of the people who are, I think, online watching for as many as 20 or 30 years, and I am eternally grateful for all of their support. There are really too many people to name individually, so I decided to list a few first names just so that people will feel included. So Joe, Joanne, George, Connie, Bruce, Tom, Gresham, Alan, Wayne, Sheldon, Mike, John, and there were a whole bunch of Johns, actually, Dick, Jay, Wendy, Ryan, Carl, Cheryl, Jerry, Ed, and all of my clinical colleagues who I have not, for the most part, named, who are still there working with me and make this all possible. Because one of the things I've learned the most from is practicing medicine. So part of what has enabled me to be better at what I do is by listening to my patients and their families tell me about what it's like to be a patient and what it's like to get care. I would be remiss were I not to mention family and friends. So my parents have passed. Some of my sibs are probably watching online, along with their spouses and their children. They've been very kind and supportive over the years, occasionally correcting me when I was straying, from what would be reasonable path, and usually patient with me. And there are friends watching as well who've been part of my life for many years. I'm going to finish up with the usual mentions of the people closest. So, in our life's journey, we each make millions and millions of individual little decisions. What am I going to wear today? What tie? And bigger ones. So two of the biggest ones for me, one was choosing to ask Sue, my wife who's here filming, to marry me, which she fortunately said yes. And then subsequently, as she and I together made the decision to go meet our son, who's also here patiently at age 10, listening to this proceedings, in Nanchang, China. And Cody is now in 5th grade, going to virtual 5th grade. They have been remarkably understanding and patient with all of the long work hours, the sound of my pager going off during dinner, and the impact of my work on our personal lives. To finish up by an anecdote, that book that was up there in the video, that was my single author book that I published about physicians' role in home health care, was finished the night before Sue and I got married. It started out as an 800-page double-spaced manuscript, was pared down to 400, which was 312 pages when it finally hit the shelves, where I think we sold probably 600 copies. So I'm not living off the money from the book. But anyway, I finished that book right before we got married. And then I'm going to finish up by noting the importance of brevity. I'm just about done. And inside the 2 to 3 minute framework, the last time I had a framework that tight, I was on the NBC Nightly News in 2009, talking about the movement, if you will, to return house calls to a common practice in American medicine. So I made it explaining that story with the help of the editors in 2 minutes and 9 seconds. And hopefully I've done a reasonable job in saying thank you today for everybody who's helped me and honored me today. Thank you very much.
Our next award is the 2020 Outstanding Early Career Faculty Award. And I'd like to call on Dean Mallett to come forward and introduce this year's recipient.
Thank you, Dr. Buckley. It's a good day for my college here. And now it is my honor to present this year's Outstanding Early Career Faculty Award to Dr. Katharine Tibbetts, Assistant Professor of Chemistry in the College of Humanities and Sciences. Here's a short video in which Dr. Tibbetts describes her research with light, molecules, and materials to advance science and improve the world.
The main thing that I love about physical chemistry is learning about the interactions of light and matter, because light can do all kinds of cool things. It can make interesting chemical reactions happen. I shoot really intense, powerful light at molecules and see what happens. We can learn then how these light-matter interactions work, and that will let us control their outcomes. One thing that I'm really interested in is making catalysts to make the kinds of materials I want to make. I need really intense light because it can do chemical transformations that nothing else can. To convert some very simple molecules into very complex materials, I need others to take my materials and then use them to see how well they work on practical applications. At VCU, I have colleagues not only in my department, but elsewhere in the university who can take my materials and then use their reactors to test them, and then they can tell me how to improve the material. There's sort of a synergy between me, the person who's trying to make a material and understand how it's made, and then the people who take those materials and apply them to something that can benefit society.
We are proud to honor Dr. Tibbetts' exceptional accomplishments. Dr. Tibbetts, please come to the podium and accept this recognition. Congratulations.
So I guess I should start by thanking the nominating committee, certainly in my department. That would include Nick Farrell, and then through the college for this kind of amazing and unexpected honor. With that, I guess I should say I kind of can't believe that it's been 5 years since I picked up from Philadelphia and moved down to Richmond to come to VCU. Even though I know everyone else has been saying, oh, 20, 30 years, 5 years still seems like a long time. But partly because of that, the first person I should thank is my husband, Ryan, whom I dragged from Philadelphia, ripping up him from his career and coming here with me. So he's the first person I should thank for this. I wouldn't even be here if he didn't decide, okay, let's move to Richmond. And then I'd like to thank my family back in Philadelphia, my parents and my brother, who are still in Philadelphia, maybe watching on Zoom. But really, I want to spend most of my time thanking the people who did most of the work, and those are my students, particularly my graduate students. There are many of them, and they are absolutely wonderful, and they do all those cool things you saw in the video. But the two I really want to thank are the first two who joined my lab when I came here in 2015, and those are Derek Ampatu Botang and Mallory John. Those two students took a chance on a brand new professor who had no clue what she was doing, and an empty lab that was full of asbestos and had to be completely renovated. But the two of them helped me build my lab and make all the kinds of cool things, the materials and the spectroscopy experiments that we do now. So I am eternally grateful to those two students and all of my students who are currently in my lab. Lastly, I'd like to thank the support I've had in the department, mostly Dr. Samuel Fell, the chair, and Maryanne Collinson, who was my mentor when I started. And then some of my colleagues that I have collaborated with while at VCU, and that includes Puru Jena in physics and Frank Gupton in engineering. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for being here in person or mostly virtually. Thank you.
So we've come to the final award of this afternoon, the Outstanding Term Faculty Award. And it gives me distinct pleasure to present this award to my colleague and friend, Dr. Wes Shepherd, who's professor in the Division of Pulmonary and Critical Care in the Department of Surgery in the School of Medicine. Please join as we view a short video in which Dr. Shepherd shares when he felt the call to become a doctor and his gratitude for the support he's received throughout his career.
If you asked me when I was probably quite a young boy what I wanted to do when I grew up, I would have said I wanted to be a doctor. I felt that call from a very early age, and miraculously it never wavered. I was immediately drawn to the collegiality and the teaching heritage of the pulmonary division. I was able to experience the role of taking care of those patients, but also at the same time, just as important to me, maintain relationships and build long-term medical relationships with the patients. One of the opportunities we have here at VCU and in an academic teaching hospital is to provide innovative, cutting-edge therapies. That's been tremendously rewarding to be able to offer those therapies and provide those therapies to patients. Working in an academic medical center, teaching is inherently and intrinsically woven into just about everything that we do. We created our own interventional pulmonary training program, which is one of a few in the country. It's been remarkable to me how supportive the health system has been of our novel program.
So today we applaud Dr. Shepherd's extraordinary accomplishments. Dr. Wes, come on forward and accept this recognition. Thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you so much. Right before I came here, I walked out of
7 30-minute Zoom interviews. So it's great to be in a room with real humans. It's interview season at the medical center, but I honestly didn't know when I first heard about receiving the Faculty Term Award. I didn't know what a term award meant. I thought maybe, does this mean I'm old now? There's an early faculty award, there's a term. Am I sure term is not an abbreviation for termination? But once I figured it out, I truly am very humbled to receive such an award, especially when I'm surrounded every day by so many colleagues and coworkers that are just exceptional and without whom this would not be possible at all. I know it sounds cliche, but there are so many people at the medical center and throughout the university that are certainly equally or far more deserving than I am. There are so many to thank. Of course, I have to start with my wife, Molly, and my children, Grace, Amelie, and Peter, who are here today. They did get out of school early to be here, so you're welcome, guys. Yes, they were in school in person, so so far so good. But being involved in a specialty that involves a lot of emergencies, long hours, after hours, weekends, and a lot of inconvenient events, they have been as much a part of the sacrifice that I have. I sort of feel like the plaque should say to the Shepherd family, or maybe the Faculty Family Term Award might be more apropos for all they've given. Of course, my mother and my brothers who are watching online, the School of Medicine, Dr. Buckley, our department and division leaders, Dr. Tricia Syme, Dr. Patrick Nanasinkum, and of course, our amazing group of pulmonary colleagues, nurses, fellows who have all made this possible. A special mention to Dr. Barry Fowler, our former division chief, who championed our program from its infancy all the way through his time as division chief. And of course, our interventional pulmonology team, my colleagues, nurse navigator, fellows, and all those that I've worked with over so many years. Some might call it good fortune or good timing when in 2003 I sort of stumbled into this medical subspecialty that truly was just being born in the United States and formalized at that time. And I acquired a very unique skill set and immediately brought that to VCU. Having a unique skill set can be a tremendous asset. Well, it can also be a great burden sometimes, especially when you're the only one doing it and the only one available in the early years. There were many late nights, on call every weekend, every night, on call on vacation. I remember being at the Outer Banks one year, and colleagues called me from the ICU, said, one of your patients is here on a respirator in the ICU, they need a procedure done soon. What should we do? I said, I suppose you could keep them on the respirator until I get back from vacation, which is exactly what happened. Don't worry, we have better backup systems nowadays than what we did in the early days. But ultimately, I wanted to create a program and a team that truly embodied a patient-first philosophy. Compassionate care, excellence in communication, accessibility, efficiency, and quality state-of-the-art care with innovation. I remember vividly when we early on developed our 5-year business plan for our interventional pulmonology program, and we worked for months and months on it, ready to present it to the health system new program vetting committee, and we were all set to present October 2008. Remember what happened in October 2008? The market crashed, finances tightened, the health system was sending out emails saying we're going to have to lay off 300 nurses, maybe. So we were struggling over what to do, but something told me to make the proposal anyway, and the rest is history. For some reason, VCU decided to take a chance on me and our program at that moment in the midst of most unfavorable circumstances. As we grew, one of the most robust IP programs in the U.S. Followed. The health system in VCU has been tremendous in the acquisition of new technology, program development, making us one of the most technologically diverse and robust programs in the nation with their constant support for the last decade. VCU has always been on the leading edge. This spring, I was honored to travel to New York University in Manhattan to volunteer in a COVID ICU. And I was so encouraged when I got there to see that what we were already doing at VCU were all of the things that the experts in the epicenter were doing as well. I always strive for myself and to teach our fellows to first be a physician and second to be a technician or a proceduralist. Just as Peter Boling stated, the legacy we leave behind is often the lasting impact on our patients and our trainees. We've sent many trainees across the country, even around the world, and never a week goes by that I don't get literally multiple text messages from former fellows wanting to share a cool experience or perhaps asking advice on a difficult patient. To which I always tell them the exact same thing my mentor did years ago when I did the same thing, which is to respond, well, that sounds like a really tough case, very difficult. I'm glad it's you and not me. But they've been a tremendous, tremendous help over many, many years. So I thank you all again, and it's a great honor to receive this award.
Thank you, Wes, and to all your colleagues in the Department of Medicine for your extraordinary service to our community during this pandemic. We are almost at the close of this delightful ceremony, and before closing out, would like to recognize and have a round of applause for family and friends of honorees here today. So thank you for your presence. You honor us also in our institution. Thank you. And let's have one more final round of applause for our honorees as we celebrate their passion, their creativity, and their dedication and the spirit that they've embodied here today. Please recognize our colleagues one more time. And as you know, while we recognize very special colleagues here today, all of our faculty are special, and we want to recognize all our faculty. We know that this spirit of excellence is embodied in all of you each day, and especially now you give at this extraordinary level to our institution and to our community, and for that we are immensely grateful. Also like to thank our colleagues who put together today's ceremony. It's always a delightful event. It is a special event this year, and the opportunity to also be able to live stream in and share the experience with many is an additional joy of this year. So this brings our ceremony to a close, and whether you're here in person or whether you're in live stream, we thank you for the opportunity of spending time and enjoying such a meaningful event with us and celebrating our wonderful and distinguished faculty. Thank you all very much.